This is A-Game. Fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
It's good to all my fellow veterans across the board. Hope you guys are cool, taking care of business, safe and sound. To all subscribers, both new and old, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for future videos, and shout out to A-Game Nation. Now, let's deal with the housekeeping before I get to the topic. Of course, I did put that down there, Mr. Hot Sauce in our box. Shout out to Tom Likas and Drake, respectively, for using extreme methods of birth control. Again, a lot of these hyenas out here doing their thing, so they need to learn it's literally hot out here in the boneyard. So have sex or smash responsibly, I'll say. Number two, I was down mainly because of the a short in the internet over here. So instead of being able to be consistent with the content, I had to address that issue ASAP. Here I am, back ready to get it back in. For three, happy belated birthday to my brother Sheep. You know, much love and prayers to you while you're handling the business, and understand that the mantle and the torch has been passed to you, along with all my other brothers. I know it's a burden that a lot of us sons need to carry, unfortunately. But our fathers prepared us for these moments with the fidelity and confidence for us to do the damn job and exceed their expectations. Now, and fourth, I will start doing live streams. I'll find a suitable time to do so. I want to do more public interaction. Granted, the pre-records are cool, but it's easier to get, some dialogue going instead of just speaking these private echo chambers. Just learn to get my legs under me. I've been doing pre-records because of that. It's time to push forward, change things up, and looking to not just do personal live streams, but stay tuned for a few collaborations. These are being set in motion, but we're always moving forward, talking about progress. And when it comes down to the mail call, there'll be a video coming with that explaining everything. Now, to end the housekeeping duties, the following views are of a very blunt nature, open and honest dialogue, and personal opinions of mine I've gathered over time and just in general. So if your feelings are softer than a wet toilet tissue, or you can find your feelings at the bottom of an adult diaper, do understand that farting feelings that don't last long. And two, go somewhere and cry about it. Get a drink and lay down. And viewers' discretion advised. So, that being said, let's get into it. Right now, we're going to be talking about the ultimate flex, discussing strength and power. Now, when it comes down to it, I want you guys to focus on this, and I'm going to walk you through. Number one, when we come down to this space, for example, you have many individuals claiming to be this thing. We're talking about blue pill, purple pill, red pill, black pill, diuretic pill, gout pill, tender dick pill. You name it, they claim it. Now, many derive strength in such titles, but do understand when it comes to strength, strength is a noun, the capacity of an object or substance to withstand great force or pressure, capacity for exertion or endurance, power to resist force, solidity, toughness. Now, when it comes down to individuals talking about finding strength in being involved in these cliques or hiding as a panel possum, or hiding behind a lot of these statistics, which if they're used poorly, I refer to as ashy dick analytics. If your actions, words, and intent don't work in concert, the person is full of shit. You can have individuals who have graduated from certain halls of education. They can have all these accolades socially and whatever. They can be physically strong. But actual strength comes within, which I'm going to address. And an example I could use is when we talk about Mjolnir or Thor's hammer. Instead of the hammer itself, imagine that same thing as a personification of masculine light. And in this space, which is warped into, there are not many guys who are able to wield their masculine light in the proper form, being called a father, being a solid man, a principle of purpose. Leaders, credible, reliable. A myriad of things that a lot of guys, unfortunately, are not producing for themselves because it doesn't resonate within them. They can put the title of whatever on them, but if it's not in you, it'll show in what you do and what you say and what you stand on and what you don't. So let's look at in the context of this list. We talk about number 9. We're looking at strength again. In case those who missed it, there's a definition. Now, on the other side, we talk about power. Now, by nature, women can use this power of manipulation for good or ill will. Now, we're talking about the definition of power and authority, which is not gender specific. It's a noun. Power is an entity or an entity's or individual's ability to control or direct others, while authority is influence that is predicated on perceived legitimacy. Now, do understand that strength and power, if done right, go hand in hand. However, what you've been seeing as of late, there's a lot of individuals who are not strong enough to understand that the truth is unapologetic. And number 2, both male and females need to understand that absolute power corrupts absolutely. As far as these chicken heads who believe that hoes are winning, you were given the illusion of power. When you have guys subject your womb, your attention, your appearance, your femininity, be it feral or refined. When they inflate the value of something that you don't even cherish for yourself. See, you got a lot of hoe power out here. You got individuals who think that just because you have a lot of Tinder dicks out here who will pay top dollar for a woman to put her ass gas in a mason jar and ship it to them, or pre-used socks and sealed in a Ziploc bag. Many of us have seen guys get on these escort pages, and she puts a commanding price. The price is the price. She has these rules and demands on these Wi-Fi winos and such. And she's given the illusion of power because you've acquiesced to it, because you don't have the strength within yourself, and they know it. There are many individuals who believe they'll find salvation elsewhere in other places. But again, if you don't have the inner resolve, that testicular fortitude to invoke and stand on the power of no, to promote your boundaries, your standards, and stick to your principles, you'll be the Ward's hole. As I've said before, you'll be Baphomet's bottom. See what you've seen out here with the rise of these internet idols. You have individuals who are looking to worship mediocrity. Be these cyberspace, these internet salad tossers who don't have any spine nor direction of their own. Now, there will be some Mitch Bay motherfuckers who will sit there and say that's man bashing and whatnot, but what I'm expressing to you is the actual truth. Now, granted, when it comes down to it, if you're unable to adhere to this, don't waste energy complaining. Accept responsibility for how you feel. Establish healthy boundaries. Practice forgiveness. Know your values. Don't waste time on unproductive thoughts. Avoid language that implies you're a victim. Make your self-worth independent of other people's opinions. And be willing to stand out from the crowd. Now, I need you to understand all 9 of those things. There's a lot of these cyberspace sycophants who are guilty of either all those crimes or most of them. This is why I've done videos as far as like ashy dick analytics and stinky dildo statisticians. Be it both male and female, these individuals are susceptible to such crimes. Now, when it comes to actual strength, it takes strength to understand your nature. Men, in general, we're supposed to oppose environment. And in this environment, it's very toxic. It's a lot of goofiness and not the toxic masculinity which has been thrown on us poorly. Us being positive, productive men is not a curse. But it does stand against bitch assness. See, there are many ways to express leadership. Some are vocal. Some are more in the middle. Some are more laxed. They let their actions speak loud volumes for them. But knowing your leadership style, be it in the military theater or in civilian theater, understanding yourself, writing the book unapologetically, which means page by page, chapter by chapter, adding context to the greatest love story, which happens to be your life, or should be. That takes a level of resilience and resolve and strength. Many of us have some fucked up chapters, being that we've lost people that we're close to, been backstabbed, shot at, betrayed, laid off, left alone, abandoned, broken, had our finances, our confidence, in everything that pertains to us shattered or snatched from us. Many believed that being an upstanding dude with principles and purpose is perfect and above reproach. It could be nothing further than the fucking truth. See, even if you have principles and purpose, you have to own up to the fact that you're going to fuck up. You got to own up to the fact that for all these war stories that a lot of guys cling to, you have to take ownership of the fact that you gave these demons a stage to perform on. You have to take responsibility that you pulled the hook a little bit too late. That you were clinging to the idea of what that person was supposed to be rather than seeing it for what the fuck it is and having the strength to get it out of your face and out your space. So if you don't have that inner strength and resolve, There are entities out there who will profit off you being powerless. Now, when I listen to my brother stream, shout out to him for putting it out there. Sheep, he made mention of a phrase that really hit me harder than I expected. He said, when people love money, they'll use people. But when people love the people, they will use money. That right there shows you the balance or imbalance of both strength and power. See, we need to use currency, money in that sense, to get things done. But it's how you use it and how you acquire it. And if you're a solid, upstanding dude who doesn't look to fuck people over or do all these things unless they had it coming to them, you'll use your resources, not just your finances, but your time, your experience, your leadership, an ear, empathy, all of the things that encompass great men. And that way you promote the idea of great leaders creating great leaders. But see, that requires you to delve into this, working on the internal 5. You start establishing that strength in the spiritual, knowing who you are, what you're about. When you're strong there, you're able to start building on your health to help protect that. And when you do that, you can bring the bond of not just your family, but your brothers, who you work with and who you bring close to you, who've earned their place there, which works on your appearance, not just how you see yourself, but how you carry yourself. And ultimately, your dwelling. That radius from what everything that radiates from within is going to be shown and manifest that's around you in the environment you go into. It's going to pull people toward you, it's going to repulse them. And you'd be surprised at that power once it leads to the external. But see, when you lack spiritual strength or any measure of strength, this is where you start seeing this banner. And as you see in the position of the pyramid, which is unnatural, face down, ass up, you know the rest. But when it comes to strength, you have to understand the importance of your masculine light. I've always mentioned there's more power behind the spotlight than underneath it. And in this space, you have a lot of guys who complain about what women are doing and blah, blah, blah. But again, in that aspect, while you're too busy in her face, flashing your wallet, tap dancing, and performing in front of her, that light that's being shined on you is blinding you to her respective intentions. Now, if she's a solid chick, and they do exist, she's already going to pull the hook on you anyway. Nah, bro, go audition somewhere else. But then there are those in the relationship industry who are deliberating on what they want to do and get out of you. That's where you're working unnecessary hours, wasting your time, wasting your energy. See, the thing is, when it comes to strength, every man can't be deemed a man. Every male can be deemed a man. Not every guy can be deemed as red pill. So you say what you want to say, but that level of strength is going to show when adversity shows up. What happens, what you saw with Fart and Flaccid, for example. They are the shepherds of these Wi-Fi winos, these cyberspace squatters, these broadband bloods, and keyboard crips who exercise keyboard courage as a religion. And they get in these little bullshit echo chambers. They're talking all kinds of shit. Yeah, these bitches are strags. These bitches are this, and that. And that's the pulse of blame, shame, and explain. See, people who have internal strength understand that blame, shame, and explain is a bullshit hustle. You don't have the strength to see that while you're talking about all these chicken heads and, all these things that are triggering, emotional traumas and wounds. The main people who are spoon feeding you this shit by the shovel load are profiting off your pain. How many times have you seen individuals out here throw big cash to get the bullshit that they've endured by choice most times thrown into their face? Some like to be humiliated, not just online, but off, because they don't have the strength to face themselves. Right. They don't have the strength to forgive themselves. They don't have the strength to correct themselves. And they don't have the strength to stand up for themselves, which gives these charlatans the illusion of power. From day one, you start, and me and many brothers have talked about this. This is why it's important to understand the difference between quality over quantity. When you're able to separate yourself in having your own mind, stand on your own too, standing up for not just what you believe in, but standing up for upstanding brothers and sisters out there, or just principles in general. You will oppose the weak just by your constitution. But see, you got a lot of sycophants that found out real quick. The same names and all that stuff. A lot of individuals say in line and in these little private chats. And shout out Pimp Say for saying is that what happens when I'm face to face, you smelling my cologne. Now, personally, I'm being trolled by a troll who's got a fucked up haircut, a crunchy robe, and loves to, have this illusion of internet anonymity. But the thing is, everybody has a plan till you get hit in the fucking mouth. And you saw with Fart and Flaccid, you saw Frank Castle get reduced to Eddie Haskell. See, when you're in proximity of the very targets that you point at. Now, granted, I don't always approve of certain people's actions, but it's amazing how people have all this this propensity for smoke, and they find out in real time the very people they've been talking about are fucking with, and they're in their face. They start having asthma attacks. See, when you have strength, when you're too busy working on your masculine light and yourself and evolving to a better version of yourself, adding momentum to your character development, you let your actions speak for you. See, this is why Jonathan has to pay for the girlfriend experience. But when you invest and pay attention to yourself and your development, you got many others who want to be a part of that experience. It's often organic. And too many times, you have a lot of these individuals who have moldy talking points, which shows they don't even have the strength to not just fix themselves, but to apply the information they've gathered to themselves into the real world. So I'm gonna break something down to you too. And to this individual who promotes themselves as the quote unquote nigga nerd, I'm gonna address you personally. See, a nerd, slang, is a person considered to be socially awkward, boring, unstylish, etc. An intelligent yet single-minded person obsessed with a non-social hobby or pursuit, i.e. a computer nerd. But I'm going to get to that in a minute. What you are, ma'am, sir, ma'am, is a dork. A person regarded as a stupid, foolish, awkward, clumsy, etc. A stupid, inept, or foolish person. Now, here's the difference. A nerd, and many of us are admitted nerds. We can admit to being, have an affinity for comics, have an affinity for board games, video games, a lot of things that help bring us to that level of creative recharge. Healing the inner child within us. I can tell you right now, if you had a Nintendo 64 in a room full of guys, be it GoldenEye or Mario Kart, you'd be amazed how quick the inner child will pop up in certain men. Then there's certain things that'll bring that out of them guys, because again, you got guys who will sit there and bump off stats about Dragon Ball Z, and it's real engaging conversation. Now, the thing with being a nerd, there's quite a few things that you can help evolve yourself into, and in harnessing who you are. See, when you have the strength and resolve to be your genuine self and be unapologetic about it, you can profit from it from many ways, financially, spiritually, socially. Just imagine a lot of fine women you've seen in and out this space who happen to be in a cosplay. See, there's some female nerds too. But and going to knowing yourself and making no apologies of yourself, yet developing in the areas that you need to be worked on. Being socially pliable. Being spiritually fortified. Doing things that make you well-rounded as a guy. Make it cool in your environment, that anytime people come into your environment, you're dwelling like, man, this person is something else, making it a great experience. You could turn it being a nerd into a positive thing. And shout out to ladies like Beautiful Anime and Sunpie and a myriad of women who entertain cosplay. Granted, they are much more than just eye candy. There are some funny women out there. There are some cool chicks out there. But you have to get outside. Learn how to date yourself. Learn how to evaluate yourself and elevate yourself before you make it cool for people to get to know the better part of you. But when you're a fucking dork, you figure you're supposed to be grandfathered into greatness just because you went to a certain school or you make money at a certain job, but you're internally bankrupt. You start seeing deficits as far as a person doesn't know who the fuck they are, what they're about, which is why they're on the internet looking for their internet idols to toss their salad. You got guys who will use talking points verbatim because they will basically binge watch certain content or conflict creators and manufacture a personality that keeps the real them in the shadows. And they dread the day that people click the light on them fuckers. As you saw with Fart and Flaccid. Frank Castle got bitch slapped in front of the very target that he was chasing after. Now, you will have sycophants out here who will bend the knee and, oh, you don't know them like I know them. Lame is a choice. Especially when you're regimented lame. When you have an addiction to fear porn and fail porn. When you're a cyberspace goofy. When you're praising an individual who would not wipe their ass on your forehead. But you're yet comfortable allowing this internet individual of your choosing to slide their hand up your ass and speak for you while muting your own voice because you refuse to cultivate and promote your own personal thoughts and opinion, which might be counterculture to your internet gods. That makes you a fucking dork. It makes you a lame because you're socially crippled. You don't know how to laugh at yourself. You don't know how to exercise empathy and understanding to other people because of your old self-centered self, handcuffed by hubris. See, this is your banner. This what leads you to be a fucking failure. Not just an incel, but you got fem cells out here too. And briefly, there are some females who couldn't give their pussy away on clearance at Big Lots, Dollar Tree, Family Tree. Yeah, there's some women, females who are awkward too, who are afraid to be themselves. Understand that when it comes to your power manipulation, learning how to use it for good helps you stand out. See, a lot of these thoughts are determined to rot. And for both genders, you have to understand when you have these internet weenies who celebrate and champion the idea of a chick hitting the wall. Yeah, because she chose to throw her box in there because she sees no value in it, or she's out there just doing whatever. Because again, adversity lets you know who you are. And granted, with her story, in many cases, I say fuck her story. But listen to see where they come from and what they do with it. A lot of these weenies out here who go out here in these panels for 12, 48, 72 hours and embarrassing them fucking selves. Getting pissy drunk online, looking to eat somebody's ass on a live stream. Being an internet Tinder dick, both on and offline. You can't talk about people hitting the wall when you're too busy speeding off into the fucking ravine by choice. That's what makes you a dork. At least with a nerd, he can stand to learn more about himself. Of course, you can be book smart, but you got to learn how to be street smart and have common sense. You put that together, you could be a powerful individual. Case in point, I'm not the guy who I was 20-something years ago. Quiet, introverted. I sought solace in the comfort of my imagination. That's why I was drawing at my strongest. I lived on my paper in cartoons. I was in the media. I'm still in the meteorology, astrology, astronomy, things in the science, nature. Always watching National Geographic. You know, things about space. I mean, things that would entertain the mind because I like that creativity. Love reading about Greek mythology and writing poems, even explicit poetry sometimes. But in being bullied by certain individuals, because I was quiet, there was that day, I don't know if it's divine timing or whatnot, but when I looked up in the distance, I seen the lightning flash and got inspired. And I only had about 4 hours of sleep, but I was sitting there using my skill to fight back. What I'm encouraging my fellow nerds to do is find that level of inspiration and start fighting back by establishing and fighting for the ground within. You got to convert this from an echo chamber to a chamber of power. how you see yourself and how you start understanding and maneuvering in the world with your foresight and your intuition being in tune. But you got to know who the fuck you are. That way you start building that level of confidence, that level of humility and understanding. Understand the necessity of you establishing systems, order, and structure. We're talking about your day-to-day. If you have to fix your body clock, you have to go in there and reserve time to mentally clear yourself. Learn how to establish balance for yourself, which leads to order. And you protecting that level of order, you'll have a sense of structure. And it's not just for yourself, but you start teaching people how to conduct themselves around you, how to interact with you, what you will and what you won't stand for. That helps establish confidence. Then it goes to understanding that you're more than just a provider and protection. See, if you stuck on these two, you are no doubt a spiritually impaired mule of provision. But see, when you have that level of strength, they'll have to understand and respect the idea that you also bring problem solving and procreation. You're not a half-ass dude. You're an all or nothing type of man. You use your vetting process for when you exercise these, you will understand beforehand if they're worth the time, toll, trouble, or threat, be it a relationship, platonic, friendship, business, across the board. Also goes under understanding who you're with, because who you're with is often a reflection of who you are within. And this is why, personally, I make it a point, and I also encourage, give people enough time, enough rope to redeem or hang themselves. Now, some people like to be in the middle of everything. I just want to belong or something like that. Me personally, I could give a shit. If I fuck with you, I fuck with you. If I don't, I don't. No ifs, ands, or buts. I can be cordial, but it's a whole completely different environment when I'm really tight with you. Male, female, whatever. You also start looking at, when it comes to your strength, you have the weak who rely on shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. It's not limited to solely women, because again, you'll see in these little circles, these old ball sniffers, these keyboard cowards, they will exude this. That is the heartbeat of shame, blame, and explain. They live for it. They will pay for it, and they will fight and die for it unnecessarily. But when you start evolving into a leader, not just in your life, but in general, and understanding how you exude leadership, starting with yourself, you start radiating humility, putting onus on yourself and everything within your perimeter. If it's not under your control, you don't give a shit, but you'll keep an eye on things. You understand the power of praise. I have a gift in speaking life into people. But in order for that to manifest, you have to start speaking life into yourself. And last thing is empathy. You start understanding and putting yourself in other people's shoes. And you understand that people will never forget how you made them feel. Part of leadership in doing the right thing is having an attentive ear, which leads to your problem solving. How are we going to fix this? Weakness is sitting around and basically picking the scab in front of everybody. Well, she did this yet. And then in everybody's mind, be it covert or overtly, what the fuck are you going to do? Now, when they start saying that you're on a time clock, be it a stopwatch or whatever, eventually, and And necessarily, people's patience is going to wear out, because that will be a testament of your strength. How do you see yourself? Are you strong enough to address the problem? Or are you going to let that problem lord over you, giving them undue power? Now, as much as I tend to think about it, being told my children were aborted, my twins were aborted on Christmas Day, being told some very vile things by individuals who said they love me, and all kind of manner of things that happen, you're going to find out how strong you are at that moment. Some things will drop you to your fucking knees or to your face, but you have to find that inner resolve, that resilience, that righteous anger to stand the fuck back up. Spiritual warfare is not a joke. And there's a myriad of things that I could really be resentful for, but again, with that level of resentment, you have to understand when you're weak like that, to allow that anger to feed that anger, you will no doubt be consumed. I was this close to an aneurysm. And I'm not the only one, because there's many brothers listening to the sound of my voice have probably been in the same situation. But see, when you establish that level of strength, that will determine whether you're able to wield that power, just like Milner, or you will yield to it. Are you a victor or a victim? Are you a male or a man? And how you answer that question will ultimately determine how you will be remembered. How you might be physically gone from the face of this plane of existence, but the seeds of greatness you imparted in people will either bring a smile or tears to their face, inspiration to move forward, to address certain things that they didn't have the strength to do on their own. Your masculine light is powerful if you give yourself time to understand what you have, because you're greater than you can ever imagine. And I'm going to tell you a solid truth. That's what literally scares the shit out of certain people. See, modern day snakes, they don't just hiss in the grass and become more, use their environment as camouflage. Some will hiss into your ear. Hey, bro. Hey, fam. Hey, baby. Hey, Marine. Hey, soldier. They learn the power of language. And you have to have that level of strength and understanding and mastery of that to see what kind of powers are being used upon you. You want to see an example of powerless? Drive by around this time at night. Or if you're in a different country or whatever, and if you see a woman sitting there rubbing a dude's back while he's at the ATM, you tell me if that's power and who's the strong one. See, that's Jonathan's crucible. See, he's not able to afford the time, attention, and validation from individuals who should be campaigning for his favor because he's been working on himself. Because he's much lower than a prostitute. You can't pay enough money to get genuine validation. There's some things you can't rent, lease, or buy. But the most important investment that you can make is that moment to moment, daily, yearly investment in yourself. fortifying yourself, speaking good things to yourself. You have that power when you have that strength to wield it, to manifest greatness beyond your measure. But it's going to take not just internal strength. It's going to take testicular fortitude to wield it properly. You got the answer to the question. Are you man enough to deal with the consequences to follow? So that being said, I salute to you guys. And in conclusion, power starts within here. The strength starts within here. You're going to be tested. See, with every test you pass or fail, those are lessons. Give you opportunity to sit there and get your flex on. You see that in the gym. Now, granted, a personal trainer, aesthetically beneficial, but I strategically chose her because I needed to develop that internal strength. Who am I in such situations like this? When I go in those settings, which sometimes I'm not comfortable with, what am I going to do in those moments? Sometimes you got to do some shit scared. But see, when it comes to fear and you finding that strength, it becomes a catalyst to courage. That's how you're remembered. Standing two when everybody else folded. Simplify, guys. Be safe.